Thank you.
Earlier life.
So it is Friday, April 22nd. This is Senate Government Operations. We're a little bit between here because we don't have the, our legislative council is on these two bills is tied up elsewhere. And we just got off the floor, not knowing how long we were gonna be on the floor. But she has sent us a copy of H 572 and she drafted it. And I know that, Jay, you had some comments on it. And, commented on it here, but do you want to just go through those with us?
Was that directed to me?
If you're Jay.
Jay.
Yeah, okay.
Jay on
I
the
was having trouble
phone.
hearing.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we have this, this draft here and you had made some comments, and if you would like to walk us through those comments, and then Becky will be joining us in a while, and then we'll go through them. But if you would like to go through your comments, that would be great. And please,
1.1.
I didn't print that out because Becky didn't know what to do.
oh,
with
print it
so-
out.
Okay.
Or you don't have to, because Jay will make his comments now. On,
They have it printed out.
I can post it.
And we have language.
we have draft 1.1, and Jay had made some comments on it, but instead of printing it out, I'll just let him make the comments on the draft that we have instead of printing it out for everybody again. And we apologize to everybody out there in YouTube land, because we just got off the floor and so we're all eating our lunch. So Jay, do you want to just walk us through what your comments were here on 512?
So my comments, I think, were already taken into consideration by the latest version that Becky Wasserman did.
Oh, there's a
Oh,
draft 1.2 here. I haven't seen that.
yeah, so 1.2, I'm all set with, I'm pretty
Oh.
sure.
Okay, so I didn't realize that there was a 1.2. Okay, so it's under the letter from Beth, there's 1.1. Then there's a letter from Beth, and then there's 1.2. Right there,
It says 410.
it's 410 draft number 1.2 of H 410.
We were talking about 72.
It's
We're talking
draft
about-
1.2 of H 410, which is
410.
artificial intelligence.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
So
sorry.
I-
What, it's,
I know, I'm not, again,
so where is it?
it is my point.
Oh. Oh my God, I'm so confused here now.
Darling.
These are all together.
Yeah, I put everything in one pile for today.
Yep. I
Yeah,
I have
see
1.2.
1.2, I just see 1.1.
We have just 1.1. And Jay said there's a 1.2 of 572.
No, I don't, I think it's still 1.1. I just, the latest language that Becky sent me, that she also sent to you, we're fine with.
I'm gonna back up here. We have draft 1.1, then I have, and Gail did not print it out for all of us because I thought that there was a new draft. This 1.1 has your comments on it. Then if Becky has made changes to accommodate your comments, and there is a draft 1.2, we do not have it.
Right. I think that Becky made the changes that we talked about, and they're in the 1.1.
They keep. Okay, I am really confused now.
So here is Tim Duggan's comments on the draft.
Okay, yeah. But, so, draft 1.1 at 12:11 PM yesterday has your comments on the side.
No, that's Tim Duggan.
No,
I thought you said this was Jay's comments. Oh my God, okay. All right, so you are set, you are okay with draft 1.1?
yes.
Okay. So These are Tim Duggan's on the side.
Yeah, on my screen, it says Tim Duggan, then I printed it out, it says DT. So that's where
Okay.
some of the confusion is coming.
I apologize for that. So,
That's Brian's.
we do not, so his comments are, he has a comment on section 1 in the title where it says allowance. And he has the comment, the idea presented indicated that the employer pays for the health insurance either on VSTRs or active plans. This is not addressed here. I thought, but he has that comment on allowance. I thought it said that later on.
Yeah, it does. It says in part 2 below, the employer of the beneficiary makes payments into the retired teacher's health and medical benefits fund. So the employer would pay directly into the retirement fund is the way that Becky has it written here.
Well, I'm not sure that's true. It
So
looks like it's struck.
No. On page 2, line 3, 4, and 5, is that what?
Oh,
Oh, no, that's the one time.
I'm talking about on page 1 of my
Yeah.
version, line 19.
right. But if you see right after the word beneficiary, I believe the rest of that sentence is struck.
Well, it is struck, but then it continues, subject to the assessment set forth on behalf of the beneficiary and remits
Okay.
payments to the benefits fund.
True.
So is that
Okay, yep,
saying the same thing?
it's apparently.
And he has the comment, this section is written in a manner inconsistent with practice and existing law. Rewrote to sync up. Oh, so he must have crossed that out and rewrote it.
Who's he?
Oh,
Tim
Tim
Duggan.
Duggan. I wish he hadn't done this. I wish he had just, but anyway. So, because now it's very confusing about what we have and what we don't have.
I think on
So-
that note, I'm.
Jade, does this make sense to you? The employer of the beneficiary, subject to, the employer of the beneficiary, subject to the assessment set forth in 16 VSA 1944D on behalf of the beneficiary and remits payment to the benefits fund. Is that saying the same thing?
Yes, it is. That's definitely saying what the intent of this is. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, Tim Duggan redid that. And there should be another, he says there should be another requirement that certification written in sub C is a condition precedent. As written, it is not tied to the extra benefit. And he has, I don't know if he's,
Jay, I'm sending this to you through email right now.
is Tim available?
North Ave.
Because I don't understand,
I don't know what that means.
I don't understand what he's done and what he hasn't done. Did he add B? Or is he saying B should not be there? Or it looks like he added B, right?
I don't know.
It is unclear.
So I'm not sure. Do you have it yet, Jay?
Yeah,
So
I
did
thought I
he
did. Yes, I do have it. Did he add B?
He added B?
I don't think so. It's not in red or anything.
Because it's highlighted in yellow.
Not on the version I just got sent. I see red under section 1A, 1 and 2 and 3, and that's it.
His words, his highlighted words, upon subsequent retirement of the person.
So-
That is in 1.1.
On page 2, on lines 6 through 9, you don't have a highlighted language?
I don't even have the lines showing on this version. All I have is the red ink that he has.
Let me make sure I ordered it right. I just, yeah, it's the same thing.
So you,
I just opened it in Google Docs. I can now see the yellow and the red.
okay, we can't see colors, so,
Okay, and he's got purple in here too. So B, it says subsequent retirement.
yeah,
That's what you're talking about. Okay.
right. Did he add that? Is that his language?
No, I'm almost sure that's Becky's.
Okay, so we don't,
I think that's fine, because the point is, once they again become a member after taking advantage of this, they don't get any vested interest in that year that they did that, and they don't get any extra pension for that. And that's what this is saying. So I think this is what the intent is.
right.
This
and
was
his
addressing a major
comment-
concern of the treasurer.
His comment is that I thought the idea with coming back, do not pay contributions. This suggests they do. I think that the
don't think it-
contributions are only made for health, right?
This is saying upon subsequent retirement of a person who then becomes a member of the system, the beneficiary shall not be entitled to a retirement allowance separately computed. I think the key there is separately computed for the period that service was resumed. So if we used, if I was eligible for this and I took over as a first grade teacher someplace and did that for a year, in a hard to fill position that was certified that they needed me, then for that year, I would get my retirement, I get my pay, but I'm not building up any extra retirement money, and I'm not getting extra years of service towards my investment. That's what this
You're
is
not
saying.
contributing anything.
And I'm not contributing anything. Only the district is by paying my insurance. That's saving the pension fund, my insurance payment, because they're paying into it. And there's the $2,500 fee that the district also has to pay to take advantage of this to the pension fund.
So you're gonna get your retirement benefits during that time,
Say that again?
along with your salary?
Yeah, you get your retirement benefit along with your salary, but you won't get your insurance. That'd be paid for by the district. So you get your pension and you get whatever they're paying you to do the job that year.
And you don't, and it doesn't extend your employment period so that it would change your long-term retirement benefit.
Right, that's what this is saying. Yeah, exactly.
So what does his comment there mean?
I don't see his comment. I don't have his comment here.
You don't have
Oh,
them?
now I see it. Add on behalf of the beneficiary and remit payment to the benefits fund.
His comment is that I thought the idea that was retired teachers coming back do not pay contributions. This doesn't say they pay contributions.
No, it doesn't. Okay, I see that comment way down there at 4:36 a.m.
I think maybe B could just be left out. Or it could be clear that they're not contributing anything and they're not gaining anything in their, either their calculations or their years of service or their. And
I think that the way Becky worded it, personally, the way that she has it, and I don't know what Tim's thinking is, I think the way she says it says that. So once I retire again, upon subsequent retirement, right?
Yeah.
I will not be entitled to a retirement allowance separately computed for the period that service was resumed.
And you're not paying anything in, and that's clear.
Right. That was
Okay,
the
well,
word that Beth had, because if I pay money in, then maybe I can make the argument that that money, I'm entitled to that money or to some, or to the extra retirement benefit.
Is where the language is that says they don't get their retirement.
They do get their retirement.
So they get their retirement,
That's the
they're
point
not.
of this.
While they're working, they get their retirement payments along with their salary while they're.
That's the whole point of this.
Instead of having to pay them a bonus for
No.
doing this good work, they actually get.
No.
But what they don't get any sort of increased time allocated to
Right.
their
Right,
employment, so that would change their retirement benefit in the long term.
So currently, a retired person can come back and work for the school system
yeah,
if they only make a certain amount, and they can collect their pension.
No, for a certain time period.
Right, but what this is saying is you can come back for 1 year and you don't pay anything into the retirement fund, and it's not gonna add to your retirement fund. You're just coming back for 1 year, almost like on a contract basis.
Right.
And you're coming back for 1 year, and the employer, the district, is gonna pay your healthcare costs during that period of time.
Right.
And then you go away again, and subsequent retirement, I think, is what sounds funny, because they're not retiring again, they're just quitting that 1 year contract.
no, I get it, but now so this person is saying that there's not explicit language that says they don't pay in while they're
I guess that's what he's saying.
While they're out.
while they're working.
Yeah.
And is that correct? Cause now I'm reading through and I'm trying to find the
Yeah,
language.
While you're working, you would not be contributing to your retirement fund while you're working.
And I think what Keisha's saying is that it says you don't get anything more in the end, but it doesn't say anywhere you're not paying in
Yeah.
during that period of time. It does say above that your employer is gonna be paying your health care benefits. But maybe we should add a section that says during that period of time, there is no contribution to the pension fund itself.
Mhm.
And be explicit about it.
Yeah. Is that what you're,
That's what I think the person is saying, and I am looking through, unless I'm missing language.
yeah, no, I don't think you are.
Okay.
I think that it doesn't not clearly say that. It does clearly say that you're not gonna get anything more after you quit your year, but it doesn't say that you're not
Also don't have to
specifically
pay.
paying in. So I don't know who that was.
That was Brian making a little boo-boo.
No, it came from the screen.
No, it's
Not that
somebody on
good.
the screen.
It came from the screen.
Maybe it's Tim.
No, we think it's Jay. He's making silly noises. So I guess maybe we should ask her to add. Does that make sense, Jay? To specifically put that in there?
Yeah, I think it does. We want it to be as really, really clear. And I think that's a good
Yeah.
catch from Senator Ram. It's worth making that change.
It certainly doesn't hurt.
Right.
And I do think that his comment on page 1, line 18, where he added immediately preceding the, I can't read it, it's so. Resumption, is to make it clear that those 18 people that we talked about earlier do not qualify for this.
Right.
Not
Exactly.
automatically qualified.
Where do you see that?
On page 1,
At the bottom, it's comment, the second comment.
Sorry, I'll say it.
It's hard to read.
yeah, but that is what it said. So I think that makes sense. And I'm not sure why he has allowance highlighted there, but
That's what he's saying, that the employer paying for health insurance isn't addressed maybe in the title, because it is addressed in,
it is addressed later on.
maybe he thought it should say. That is
So when Becky gets, are we okay with the rest of it?
I guess so.
It's interesting, it's so short, it's so complex. It's like,
Well, I think it was much
Fine.
longer to start with.
yeah, I think it's okay. I think we just need to put it in plain English.
So that it really is very clear.
Welcome back, teachers. That's simple.
There was a story on National Public Radio this morning, maybe it was last night, about how this is a real problem around the country, as we know. And they were talking about states that have offered fairly large bonuses to bring teachers back, increased pay.
This is actually not, this is money that's, well, it would be additional money by paying them, but we'd be paying the teacher anyway. I mean, there's really no additional money here.
Right. No, they were spending, these other states they were talking about.
A huge amount, I heard that piece.
Yeah, because this is, we'd be paying their pensions anyway. And the district would be paying a teacher if they could find one.
So it's really no, it's not, we are not, does not represent a huge additional spend.
Right.
It shouldn't represent any additional spend.
And it is great low hanging fruit, gets retired teachers back in where we need them. We know we need 1,000 teachers almost tomorrow. So this is good. So we're waiting for now,
Becky,
and not that.
No,
No.
they're not, the treasurer's office sent their notes, they're not coming.
Does the repeal usually come before the effective date?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but everything for you, Jay, this is okay.
Yeah, I think this is really good. Yes.
And we would just add that one section there about, right under the, I would think it would be right under 2 or part of 2. That the employer is paying for the healthcare benefits and no one is paying into the pension fund.
Right. Other than the employer. Remember, the employer is paying into the pension fund for the health insurance.
For the health insurance, but they're not paying the employee contribution for
Correct.
the pension itself.
Right. But they are paying a $2,500 fee for every employee they use this for.
Yeah.
Too.
In addition to the health.
In addition to the health. Yeah, we can't make it so that we want them trying to exercise everything they can to hire a qualified teacher who's not retired. But when that fails, which we know a lot of times it does because there's nobody out there, then they'd have this option.
Right.
And I mean, I think the fee, the $2,500, frankly, I think is a scam. But it's just supposedly going to the treasurer's office because there's gonna be extra work involved in this supposedly.
Is it, I was,
That was the way the treasurer would be a little bit more agreeable to the concept.
Right.
I was looking at that and wondered if, because when I first read it, I thought it was at least partially to make sure that the fund stays whole while this
Yeah,
person
I
pulls
thought the
out.
same.
So I wonder if it could say any amount not used for administrative costs goes into the pension fund unless that's like illegal or something.
I don't think I would do that. I think that gets it even more confusing. Because
It does seem like a lot.
Yeah, then I don't know, maybe we should lower the.
where did the 2,500 come from?
State treasurer.
It came from us in a conversation with the treasurer. We threw that out there as a way to try to
A sweetener.
sweeten the pot, I guess. Yeah, for support.
Because they're gonna have to somehow reinstate them when they, it does seem high to me, but if you guys threw it out there, I'm not gonna monkey around with it. If you threw it out and you're okay with it and the treasurer said, okay,
I mean, it's still kind of a robbing Peter to pay Paul though, because it's coming from our schools who are in desperate need of teachers.
Sure, no, it's not good, but it's as Chair said, it's the way it's gonna be.
It's part of the deal.
It's part of the deal. And the treasurer, to her credit, I
Part of the
mean,
deal.
yeah, although she's not supportive of the concept,
The deal is struck.
yeah, although she's not supportive of the concept, she thought this made it a lot more tenable, all these guardrails that we put in. So we definitely want to honor that agreement.
Mhm.
okay. So let's, when Becky comes back, we will add wherever she thinks it, if it's number 3 and then that becomes number 4, or if it's part of number 2 that says that there is no additional employee contribution by either the employee or the employer to the pension fund itself. That makes it clear.
Yeah.
Okay, and then are we okay with this once we? I know you guys would like us to hurry up and get it settled here.
I think, do you want to wait for Becky?
Yeah, no, we'll have that in there and then we'll. The other question I have is, Jay, should it be, take effect on July 1 or upon passage? So that you can start, because you're recruiting now and.
Yeah, I don't think it's good. That's a good question. I really think July 1's probably okay because the little bit of time we have left, once it gets through the Senate and gets signed off and gets to the governor, the school year is going to be pretty much over anyway. So I think it's, 6 half dozen of the other. I don't think it matters too much. I think whatever works for you folks is fine on
Okay.
that. We're really looking for relief for next school year.
So it makes sense to leave it at July 1st, and there'll be less questions about it.
Yeah, I think so.
That's when everything takes effect.
Right.
Okay. All right, okay, so I guess committee will just wait for Becky to get here.
Yeah.
And then we'll, Jay, if you want to, she won't probably be here for about half an hour. So if you want, Gail, can you send him a note when she
Yeah, I'd be
joins
happy to
us,
do
and
that.
then,
Sure.
and then you can join us again, so you don't have to hang around.
You could pop back in.
I could pop back in. Okay, that's what I'll do when I hear from Gail. Thank you all very much.
Thanks,
Jay,
Jay.
thank you for your perseverance.
Thank you. I'll see you soon. Thanks.
Okay, so I will report to the committee on something else then, while we're waiting here. I went this morning to economic development and begged and said I would lay on the floor and kick my feet if it would help for 950, I did say that.
You're on your knees, is I think where you were.
And I said I would beg on my knees or I would lay on the floor and kick my feet for $950,000 for EMS. And my feeling is that of all the money we spend everywhere in this state, $950,000 is not a lot to put into a system that is so important.
And it's in such crisis.
Yeah, and it is so important. And I will tell you the reaction of the Economic Development Committee, if you want to
Those
know.
mean people.
Those mean people, it was
Hobart.
it was
We're
worse.
represented at this
It was
table.
worse than going to appropriation. They wanted to know what I would cut if they didn't fund the whole thing, and I said, that isn't an option. And one of the members suggested that it probably would not be that I wouldn't know where to take the money from, but one of the members had a great suggestion about where to take the money from, and that was from the nurse preceptors. Because we're giving money to.
Teaching nurses on the floor of the hospital, and Keisha and I both feel that it is a responsibility of the educational institution and or the hospital to pay. It's an educational cost. I don't think it.
And some of them are paying, and so what we're doing, if we give money to them, is we're rewarding the ones that aren't paying.
And only doing it on a one-time basis and only a drop in the bucket, and it just isn't a meaningful amount of money to change the system
Yeah.
to better compensate.
So these are educators that are on the floor?
These are nurses.
Mentors.
Who are on, who say, yes, I'll be a teaching mentor. They're called preceptors. I don't know why. And doctors, whenever you have a doctor's appointment, you always have a medical student walking around.
A resident.
They do this all the time. I think it depends on the hospital, but they are not all compensated for that either, although they're paid a lot more than nurses. So nurses are not generally paid anything additional, and they're asking the state to pay that additional $5 an hour. And I think some of us are feeling that that really is an educational expense and is part of teaching and belongs with the educational institution or the hospital.
So how much money did you decide to give the EMT?
We have not had that conversation yet, but I think our chair is now very clear about where some of us go.
So, my suggestion is that when they're marking up the bill, that, 3 of us go and stand in the room and watch them mark it up
And breathe heavily.
and breathe heavily.
You can trust, I think you're too many members.
We do, we're just a little concerned about the other members.
I
but-
do have to say, I didn't think our chair was gonna get up from the witness seat after she was done.
I said, I'm sitting here until I get my money.
She is a persistent witness. Man, she's hard to extract.
Well, you
and
know,
hard to calm down.
one of the things that I realized, and I hadn't realized this before really, is that until Drew started talking to us, and mainly when he came in originally,
I
it was
remember.
about the districts and how.
Right.
And I hadn't realized it before, but no one in this building takes responsibility for EMS.
I can't perform an audience.
Madam Chair, you're live.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Is that a problem?
Is it a
Mark,
problem? Is it a
Everything
problem?
we say is public.
Yeah.
Is it-
We're an open book.
Is it a problem for me trying to make sure you know?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Is that Mark?
Yes, it is. Thank you for letting us know. We're waiting a little bit here because we're not having Becky with us, but I think we can go through some of the changes that we've suggested.
I think Representative Cheatham wanted this.
Yeah, I did just want to make sure you knew, that's all.
And smart.
Yes, thank you. And so I think that we'll, in the meantime, I was just telling them that my visit this morning to economic development, but I have realized that EMS has no champion in this building.
No, it has you. It has you, and you are an articulate champion of it.
So anyway, that was very helpful when you cited a potential source because it made it less nebulous.
Yes. So,
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I
Yes.
just have a moment of personal privilege with Brian
No,
Sheehan.
no, that we do, personal privilege is not that. You may have a comment
Okay.
or a conversation with Representative Chena, but do you know what a point of personal privilege is upstairs?
Yes, it's speaking during announcements, not on a particular subject that we're addressing.
No,
What is it? Tell
it's
us.
a point
I
of
live to
personal,
be edified.
a point of personal privilege, and I looked it up for Joe Benning yesterday. And
Oh, okay.
it's when you are defending yourself against a comment or that has been made, a reflection on you, an attack on your character that has been made either by another member or in the case of Terenzini when he did it, it was by somebody who was
That's
listening
right.
and
Oh, right.
it is of such magnitude that it could impact your ability to serve.
Which
And
was
that's-
appropriate with Josh.
Yes, and that's what a point of personal privilege is. When you stand up and say, it's my birthday, or tomorrow is Queen Elizabeth's birthday, or
Yeah, we
anything
never
like
use that.
that is not a point of personal privilege. I just thought I would,
Thank you, that is.
We're here to be educated.
Damn, she's always.
Allison Clarkson, I'm Senator Clarkson.
Brian,
If it's personal, maybe we could talk off the record.
but
off the record, except for live, but I don't,
Yeah, if it's personal, like don't say it now, because I'd
no,
rather.
it's not that personal. It's modestly personal, which is, first of all, it's great to have you with us. And second, I am really sorry I missed last night. They had a fabulous dance event with the House and sadly the Senate. A lot of us had a meeting and then I came back and worked till 11:40 and I missed you and I hear it was terrific. My roommate told me how splendid you were and how you interwove, he was the DJ.
oh, good.
And he interwove live streaming from the house into the song.
That is
So
funny.
every once in a while, he'd have, Madam Speaker interjecting.
You
on
mean they
something.
were having a dance while this house was on the floor?
Well, he had recorded
Oh, I see.
and then interwove it. And
I
so
see.
anyway, Brian, you were much appreciated and I'm really sorry I missed you.
Thank you. And since this is now on the record, I would just like to clarify that my fourth job, I'm a DJ. I offered to do a free show at a local business to help bring the community together to heal through dancing. And I invited legislators, staff, community members, advocates, everyone. And so it was off work hours at a local business, me performing at my fourth job, just to be clear. So it's not misunderstood. But I did indeed take samples off of YouTube. I commonly will use all kinds of samples in my work. And so that's, I think, what you're referring to.
That was great
It sounds good.
and much appreciated.
All right, so with that, I think what we'll do is officially, semi-officially jump to 410, page 410. We have a new draft here before us, and it is what Becky wrote up for us. And somewhere in all these pieces of paper, I have a marked up version from Lucy Rogers with some comments on it, and
On this new draft?
yes, and I'm looking, because she and I went over it
Oh, good,
yesterday,
oh, good.
and I'm looking for that copy.
Calvin is the artificial intelligence.
But anyway, so Representative Gina, if you would like to look at these, and I think that you probably worked with Lucy around the possible changes. So I think that you can walk us through some of those if you would like, because I can't find my copy here, but
Here, the marked
No,
up
no.
one, I don't.
Is there a publicly posted latest version I can look at that incorporates those changes, or?
I believe, well, it's draft 1.2.
And it should be on our website,
It is on
It
our
is.
website, and
but it doesn't have Lucy's, does it have Lucy's comments?
no,
It doesn't.
no.
Yeah, that's
That
what,
doesn't.
that's what gets questioned.
No, because she just made some written comments on, I gave her a copy that looks like this. It was before it had gone to editing. And Lucy and I walked through it, and then she gave me back a copy with some comments on it. And they are not incorporated into there because they came after this had been posted, but they're minor comments, and most of them are clarifications of who is doing what, and that it's the council that is doing a lot of this as opposed to the director. So if
All
you would like to walk us, just comment on 410, draft 1.2, 410, and tell us where those changes were that I think you worked with Lucy on those.
Yeah, so I won't speak for the committee. I'll just speak for myself and what I did, and then it probably aligns with what Representative Rogers gave you, because I passed that on to her as the actual reporter of the bill and the formal representative of the House of that bill at this point. But as the original sponsor and as a person who was on the Artificial Intelligence Task Force, I was incorporating, and I'm also, for the record, on the steering committee of the Racial Justice Alliance. I was incorporating concerns I heard from the Racial Justice Alliance and from former task force members in my suggested modifications. So I'll start with, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the Racial Justice Alliance. I'm going to share what I suggested, and then Mark Hughes could speak on the record on their response. But I saw that you enhanced language around bias, but something that I thought would be important would be a clause saying that when people appoint members to this council, that they should be aware of the makeup of the council and make sure that it represents a diverse backgrounds and people from vulnerable and marginalized groups who might be impacted by not only the benefits, but also the risks of artificial intelligence when used by the state. And so there was a clause I did pass on to her that I'm hoping could be fit in. Similar, I took it out of another one of the bills that's recent. I don't know if it was the Health Equity Advisory Commission or another one of our recent bills. So all it does is ask people to be mindful of the makeup of the board, so we don't end up with what happened with the AI task force, which was that it was majority white male. There were some women and like 2 people who are people of color, and a few queer LGBTQ, maybe at least one. I'd have to look at the membership again, but the point is, it really didn't represent the full range of diversity of the community. So just being mindful when we appoint people. So that was one major suggestion based on what I heard from the Racial Justice Alliance. And then the other ones, the main concern from former task force members is that it's really important that this piece of government that you're creating, that we are going to create, hopefully, engages with the public and, has civic engagement and educates the public as part of its work. Because the idea is that we want people to know more about how AI is being used, and we want them to inform how it's being used moving forward. And right now, people are in the dark on like 90% of how AI is in their lives. So by changing it to a council and by moving a lot of their powers and duties to the division, task force members were feeling like that might weaken the power of that council and make it more like they work on this one task with the code of ethics, and maybe they chime in on some stuff, but it didn't make it seem like they really had all this power to influence policy and to engage with the public. So I had suggested adding in a phrase around public engagement and education. And I'm hoping you can find a way to maybe strengthen a little bit their influence over the division. I don't oppose you creating the division. Like it took me a little while to understand it. And like, I felt like, our committee had worked for a year creating it, and you had only taken a little bit of testimony and were changing a lot. But once I understood it, I came around to supporting the concept. I just would like to, I would ask you to consider, is there any minor way you can just strengthen their role in the final language of your amendment? Those were the 2 big things. So it was from the Racial Justice Alliance feedback, the idea of making sure the voices on the council are diverse and representing perspectives that have been left out and that might be affected, and that council have as much power as possible without, crossing the line, because there's separation of powers, and like the executive branch has a job, but as much power as possible to influence policy and also to help the division and the director engage with the public. Like, this council should be not just some, group that meets every now and then and gives some advice. They should be taking testimony from the public, bringing the public in, and bringing witnesses regularly on the record, separate from the legislature, to then inform our work. So I'll stop there. I don't want to be redundant, but I think I made my point. And so I'm not super attached to specific words. I did give Representative Rogers some ideas, but those are the concepts that I wanted to highlight today. And I'm hoping you can find a way to easily make a few adjustments and pass the bill out today, so we could just keep it moving, along, because it is really important. And after 2 years of hard work, it would be a shame if we didn't see this across the finish line when we're so close. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Tina. And I did get that comment from Lucy about the diversity when appointing, to be mindful of representation of the diversity in the state. And I will say that there is one place in here where agency is referenced, and it should be council. If you're looking at the bill at all, it's on page 12, and it's under the reports and recommendations, and it's on line 16. So it says the agency shall develop and submit to the House and the Senate committees all of these things that are found on page 13. It actually is the council that will do that report and make those recommendations. We had changed that to council, and it just didn't get picked up when the changes were made. So the rationale there was that it is the council that's making these recommendations and is advisory. But the council would be making a separate report to the legislature, separate from the director. and the division. So that's what this intent was.
How would they do that?
Because how they just do it.
But I mean, they're staffed by
They'll have they have the support of the division, yeah.
but how would they write an independent report then?
Well, I assume somebody can write a report.
I will say that, may I speak? I don't mean to, I know I'm not on the.
Yes,
committee.
please.
That when I was on the task force, we had the assistance of the Agency of Commerce and Community Development with formatting and some editing, and we all like worked on it and passed it around. But there was a person that we actually had a staff person they hired who used to work for Ledge Council as a committee assistant, who was like the special assistant for the task force, who like took a lot of that on. And then when they left, there was someone else who stepped in from the state. So I would guess, I mean, I think we have someone here from ADS who could probably speak to how they would plan to do that. But so maybe I should let you speak, Mark Holmes. I just realized like you could probably answer how you would handle that.
Yeah, I mean, it does.
Go ahead.
My apologies. For the record, my name is Mark Holmes. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the Agency of Digital Services. So you're right, Representative Chena. It does also state in there that the division would provide administrative support and technical support to the council. So I think that what you're describing would be probably an activity of that administrative support. But in that section, and let me call that out, let me run to it real quick. There is one little hiccup in that it states that the agency would provide legal services. Oh, it's
No,
on
we
page.
took that out.
Okay,
We took
good.
out legal services.
Okay, but so otherwise, what I was mentioning, Representative Chena, is on page 11, and it's line 8, and it does speak to the administrative and technical support that the council would receive.
And we, just for your information, we heard from the agency that they did not have legal. So we took legal out and put a member from, an appointee from the AG's office there instead.
Okay, yeah, the draft that I have is draft version 2.1. So I'm.
Oh.
Really? We have 1.2.
The one
Yes.
the unedited one.
Oh, yours is unedited.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Okay, so 1.2 is the.
Is the
addition.
current one.
Okay.
Correct.
So thank you, Representative Chena, and I think that we'll get that language in there about diversity to consider diversity when making appointments. And I think when we established the Office of Racial Equity, there were 5 people that appointed the 5 members to the commission. And we did say that they should be, in making appointments, they should be aware of the diversity and representation of all groups. I can't remember how we said it. And what happened there is that the 5 of them kind of talked to each other to say, we need to make sure that we are taking this seriously. So that's how that happened. So I would assume that these people that are making the appointments would take that into consideration. But we'll add the language.
Thank you. May I just before, because I'll be quiet and like let you do your job. I just want to, while I have the chance, ask that you also consider adding a power or duty line that says something about the education of the public. And the specific recommendation from the task force report, which I'm looking at now, said greater education of the public on the power and opportunity of AI and the risks created by it. So Vermont has an informed citizenry on these issues. So you can say it however you wish, but I think it would be great if that was in there.
Would you send that language?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can. Do you want me to send it via email to the committee assistant or put it in the chat
Yes,
for the
that would
committee
be-
assistant?
If you could do that, that would be great to Gail.
I will.
Thank
I
you.
will do that now. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
So I'm going to listen and shut the camera and just like, or maybe even leave and go on YouTube and watch you. But thank you for giving me some time because I do want to hear what Mark Hughes and Mark Holmes
Yep.
with the Marks have to say. But thank you so much.
The one other change that's not in here that would be in here is on page 10 and 11 that refers to terms. And that was just an oversight, I think, because we took the terms out. So then we'll take the terms that will begin on September 1st. They get appointed and we'll take
Yeah, we took terms
that
out.
out. So I just wanted to point that out, that's, so Mark, Allison, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to ask Brian before he disappeared. I thought I also heard you say, in addition to educating the public, that you wanted to make sure the council engaged with the public in terms of listening to the public. Was that, or is this fine?
I think we're gonna say engage.
Okay,
Yeah, and I do think you are interpreting it correctly. When we had the task force, we were given a certain amount of time to work, et cetera, but we did do, I believe, Mark Combs might help me remember, I think it was 5 formal public input sessions in different regions of the state. Some were more well-attended than others, but it was really amazing to go to the Northeast Kingdom and have some representatives come and their constituents and like share their concerns and talk directly with us. And we did something at the Tech Jam where there were I don't know, like 70 people in the room listening to us and engaging with us. We did something at Burlington at a makerspace. So I just share these because they were very valuable. And I was really impressed, and I continue to be, at the amount of innovation happening in Vermont in this area. And as this task force does its work sharing what the state is doing and looking at how the state can improve what it's doing, we may learn that there's ways we can work more with the business community. And there's other recommendations that I've submitted to Commerce and Economic Development because it's their jurisdiction around this area. But I think that when they come back, if in the language of the report, it talks about coming back and talking about what else is needed. We're going to know that by that engagement. And so if you want to strengthen that they get public input, I support it. But I think saying public engagement and education might be broad enough, language, but you get the picture. I think it was Senator Clarkson who asked me, so.
I think that what we should do is make that a section 7 after well, Becky will tell us where to put it after we create it, then, yeah, soon.
This could be a question for any of our witnesses or just for the committee to respond to. I mean, I think folks know we've heard a request to add someone from the business community or somebody who has some kind of expertise in the commercial use of AI. And I see you shaking your head. And I just want to say, before we just jump to that conclusion, and making sure if we made sure they were someone who did not have any contracts before the state or could not have any contracts before the state, I just want to say, to be fair, that when you look at the advisory council, there are just not a lot of people on here who have expertise in AI. So I am getting seems to be a concern to me that if we're engaging the public, if we're talking to folks, if we're, getting out there, I think it does help to have somebody who has expertise in actual AI. This is a lot of government.
No, I will say that we talked about having, it was recommended by the guy from Faraday to have, I think that's a company, to have a business person, and Justin Johnson came in here and begged to have a business person on here. And I had a long conversation with Lucy Rogers and Laura Sibilio about that, and they felt very strongly that there should not be a business person on the panel itself, that they should engage with people in the business world that deal with it, but that having a particular business person on here could be a real conflict of interest. And we have an academic on there, and if the people who are making the appointments are making appointments that don't know anything about AI, then
I'm not saying they don't know anything about AI. I bet you if you just go through the list, it's very hard to make sure you have more than 1 or 2 people who have AI expertise with.
Well, the Secretary of Commerce and Community Development could appoint a person from the business community.
I don't know I didn't know that when you say or designee, you could appoint someone outside of the agency.
I think you can appoint anybody you want when it says designate.
You're able to do
That's
whatever
what-
you want.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's fine then, because I just, if you look at it, it seems like we get a lot of government people who just don't. And then we're engaging people about the power, opportunity and pitfalls of AI. And I'm not seeing enough AI expertise on the.
I don't disagree with you. It would be great to have at least one person who was an expert, whether they were a business person or
Yeah.
not.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
isn't that the
Expert
academic
in-
person?
Well, it doesn't exactly say. It says
It doesn't,
that in
yeah.
the field of, it talks about who's an academic at post-secondary institute
Well,
appointed by the Vermont Academy of Science. I would say who has expertise
Right.
in the area of AI.
well, we can say that. I will tell you this, and I'm gonna, thank you, Brian. I am gonna go to Mark, but I did have a long conversation and the House committee very strongly, or the representation was that they very strongly opposed having a particular business person
Right.
appointed.
I get that, I'm just saying, their argument is strengthened by the fact that almost none of these people are asked to have any AI expertise. So if we can take care of that concern, that would at least, I think, strengthen the group.
I would support that. I think there needs to be at least one person who has expertise in AI.
Mark, would you like to comment on that, please?
Yes, Chairwoman. So on this note, I do note that, later at the bill, it talks about how initially this group or this director and the council will be focused on the AI and protections aspects, but then later on there will be potentially some expansion of course to include, AI opportunities for the state and, state support of AI initiatives and things like that. So I would say, maybe have some sort of fluidity towards the membership, maybe a position that could be, utilized based upon some upcoming agenda items or whatever. Like if, for example, I realize initially we want to make sure we have the civil liberties and, the implicit bias and those concerns addressed before we start embarking on commercial opportunities. But at some point down the road, we'll be talking about, hey, how can the state support maybe, smart agriculture or do some other initiatives. And it would be probably nice to have somebody on the committee who, and fully recognizing the concerns you mentioned, it would have to be somebody who's not directly to gain business-wise from those activities, but maybe somebody who has, a little bit more breadth in those functions. And maybe that could be a role that, shifts on a more frequent basis to kind of adjust as the group pivots its view.
Okay, we could make this kind of a, that's why we took out terms. So that people could, the secretary of ACCD may appoint somebody and then there may be a shift in what they're looking at, and they're now looking at how it's used in hospitals. So the commissioner of health may appoint a different person because they're, and I just, we can say that they have to have AI experience, but I cannot believe for a moment that ACCD and the Department of Health and the Department of Public Safety will appoint people that have no experience or intelligence around the use of AI. When the task force was first set up, it was kind of the same thing and.
Right, but
I concur with that. Yeah, I definitely concur with that. My other testimony items are just housekeeping items within the bill, so.
Okay,
I guess the concern though is that you probably want someone from some of those agencies as well. So the idea that if all of them said, you know what, in my agency, I don't have anyone with AI expertise, so I'm just gonna appoint someone else, then we don't have someone from the Department of Health. Then we don't have someone from ACCD, we have an outside person.
So how do we want to say on here that somebody should appoint somebody with AI experience?
Yeah,
And who will appoint that and where will they come from?
I mean, I could sit here and think about it. I could talk to Becky. Or we could change one of these so they have AI expertise.
I would just add it to the person you have as a scientist who's an academic. And I, you know,
That is,
Can I,
that has,
We say,
Can I jump in about this?
yeah,
So I can't speak for the House committee, but I did, if you look at the original task force report, it asked for a very broad commission that would be doing some of what you're talking about. But what the House committee found was that it's so much to ask a group to do at once that they wanted to start with the state and not interfere with the private sector. So though, if you look at the powers and duties, a lot of it, it's like, it's over the course of a few years, setting standards for the state, engaging with the public, and then coming forward with recommendations about how to proceed and if their scope should expand. So I would recommend, like, and that's why the committee expressly didn't go further and look and include all the members originally recommended from the task force report. And it took me and other members of that task force some time to come around to that, but I actually support that now, because what will happen is, even if no one had expertise, which is unlikely, they would be taking testimony from experts and giving experts space to weigh in. And that might then lead to a plan or a proposal for an expansion of their work down the road. But I think we are starting to go down that path with the business sector without all these other sectors, and that's not fair. So it's not fair to say we're going to add a business person, but not add more education people and not add some of the other areas of expertise that were suggested by the original task force. So in the spirit of the policy decision of the House Policy Committee, I really think we should keep it tight and focused on the state. But I do think it might help to, just like there's language saying, make sure there's diverse membership, there should be language saying we need to make sure there's a healthy knowledge on the task force of the field of AI. But I think that reminder combined with, the people that are going to be appointing, I think would probably be enough. And then, you might want to strengthen the language around like further recommendations around economic development and stuff that they come back with, but I wouldn't go so far as to put a business person on. You'd have to go back and look at the record for the task force, but you could see how people lobby, and how some businesses stand to benefit and some stand to lose from this kind of work, because as it becomes exposed what they're doing, the public isn't going to like it. So I think it might be best in the beginning to not put anyone on there who could potentially be accused at some point of trying to steer the course, you know what I mean, in a way that is going to benefit one company or a set of companies. So that's just my view. I can't speak for the House committee, but I see Mark Hughes' hand up, but I was going to stop there anyway. So thank you.
thank you. What I'm going to do is go to Mark for some comments here, and then I think that we'll go back and make that, and then Mark Coombs also had some housekeeping changes. So Reverend Hughes, would you like to address us?
Reverend Mark Hughes, Vermont Racial Justice Alliance. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, committee. This is good work. This is probably the most thorough in.
Mark, can you
Speak up.
we don't want you to yell necessarily, but if you can speak up.
but we can.
Hold on for a minute.
Okay, I think Gail just increased your volume.
Okay, I'm going to do the same. I am working with it as well. One moment.
You're still a little quiet there.
Turned it up all the way.
All right, check,
Whoa.
Brian, check.
Whoa, well,
So,
okay,
I'm Mark Hughes. I am Reverend Mark Hughes. I'm the Executive Director of Vermont Racial Justice Alliance, for the record. Thank you. And also, I would like to say, of all of the policy work that I've seen happen in the legislature this session, I think this is the one that has gotten the most attention and has the most thorough review that's gone into it. And I'm appreciative of the work that's gone into it. I just want to acknowledge the work of also the committee that created the report, and also want to give a shout out to Representative Chena, who's put so much time and effort into this policy. I did see that there were the areas around our concerns that I expressed the last time I was here they seem to be appropriately addressed. I've got just a lot of strong support for this policy here. I really would love to see this policy voted out of this committee sometime, like within the next 15 minutes. Okay, I'm kidding. But this is good stuff. There are though just a couple of things I wanted to weigh in on. Just if nothing else, just to give a little thought. When we think about sunsetting this certain aspects of this policy, particularly as it pertains to advisory capacities, and this will be a bridge that we'll cross when we get to it, we will need to be mindful that there are going to be advisory capacities that are going to be required in the perpetuity because of the sensitivity of these systems in terms of civil liberties and in terms of racial equity and justice. These are things that are not simply just solved and go away. And in addition, there's also the maturity of the technology that continues. So I just wanted to note that, just flag that, because I heard a conversation on that, I think, over the last day or so. Regarding expertise, I did want to chime in on that last conversation, Madam Chair. There is a conversation here about artificial intelligence expertise, and I'm not quite sure, and we'd have to go to Mark for this as well, but as a technologist who's largely self-taught without a bachelor's degree, as a recovering certified information systems security professional and systems auditor, what I do know is qualifications and certifications and all of these things as they look on paper is great. I guess what I'm getting at here is that when you start thinking about artificial intelligence, it's very similar to almost any other implementation of technology that you would use inside of a business unit. So really a business analyst skill set is really important, because what all we're really doing is we're translating those things that are business process oriented over into the use of technology to create efficiencies. So it takes a very keen mind and understanding the business processes, and also a keen mind and understanding how that translates into technology. That's really, in essence, what we're talking about. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on a person necessarily specializing in quote unquote artificial intelligence wherever they are. As far as the only other comment that I have on it is it does go back to the previously mentioned concerns surrounding the racial equity and justice component and representation in moving forward. And I do note that Sultana Davis has been identified as the person that would be her or a designee would be on this. I am somewhat concerned given the nature of what it is that we're seeking to address. Again, back a few years ago, all of our conversations were about bias. Now our conversations are about systems of oppression, systemic racism, for example. And our conversations have evolved here, even legislatively, with an acknowledgement that there is a consistent disparate outcome across all systems of state governments. We've acknowledged that, which means currently there's just a lot of disparity that's being produced just inherently, not because anybody's doing anything maliciously. It's just this is what these systems are producing. So I'm really concerned that the representation on this either division or committee, I should say, or what are we calling it, Madam Chair? I think we're calling it a
Council.
Council. Sorry about that. I am concerned that we may not have the appropriate level of representation there. Not so concerned that I'm throwing a red flag, but I just want to be on record with that, just because it is obviously a big concern of ours. And I'm also cognizant of the fact that Susanna Davis has a lot of stuff going on. And for her to place her name in this and have the expectation that it will be she and she alone who's going to be for that.
It says or designee.
Yeah, same thing. I mean,
No, very different.
no, same thing, because we're talking about the capacity of her organization.
It
So
could be an outside person, Mark. It
She
doesn't-
could name you.
Yeah, it doesn't have,
no, so I think my concern has been addressed, has been acknowledged and addressed, and I just want to yield there. I know that's unusual coming from me, but I just want to stop there. Thank you for the time. Again, I'm closing out with the fact that this policy, please don't let anything obstruct this policy from moving forward this session. Let's get it across the finish line.
I think we will. Thank you very much. And I think that is absolutely our intent.
Thank you.
And that's why I've been meeting with members from the House committee so that we could make sure we were in sync here, so that whatever we do, they're aware of and can. All right, so Becky, do you want to join us at the table? And I guess I think that you've highlighted that in yellow here in draft 1.2, the changes that we made. And I just had a couple on page 10, we're gonna cross off on line 18, cross off and terms, and then on line 11, cross off the terms shall begin.
What page you on?
10 and 11.
Oh, yeah.
And then I don't know if you were here when we talked about, and I don't know where you would put it, if you would put it under the, here, under the membership, something about the appointing authorities when making appointments should make appointments that reflect the diversity of Vermont. I think that's the way we did it on the ethics panel, the racial justice panel when we said that.
Yeah, I've seen that language. I'm so sorry, in subdivision 2 where it says chairs and terms, you just want me to remove and terms
Yeah.
and remove this September.
I think I remembered most of them.
Thank you. Then that terms of the member shall officially begin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, let's see. It is the intent. Oh, so the House has suggested here that on page 2, on line 13, that the recommendations of the task force and require the digital services to conduct, guided by the advisory council, but I don't think that for the inventory, they needed to be guided by this is just the inventory. There's a couple other places here where they have guided by but I don't think they need to, that's just the inventory, right?
Think so.
Yeah.
Sorry, page 2 is the intent, so.
Huh?
You want it on page 2, the intent section?
Yeah, that's all the intent.
Yeah, but just leave it.
Okay, no
Yeah,
change.
I think that wasn't, but on division of artificial intelligence, 5012, she just handed me.
So that's on page 7.
Yeah. Under the creation, which they have a whole lot of words. The division shall be administered by the Director of Artificial Intelligence, who shall be appointed by the Secretary of Digital Service, guided by the Advisory Council. But I don't know that you need to say guided by the advisory council. If it is the advisory
That's what
council.
the
it's
advisory council is
council.
Yeah, I mean, the advisory council language says it provides advice and counsel to the
Right.
director.
So I don't think you need to put it there. I'm just reflecting the comments. Then, under the appointing authority, so if we can add that they should. And I'm gonna ask the committee, if you wanna put something in there about that the appointees need to make sure that they have AI expertise. I don't think we need to say that. I cannot imagine anybody appointing somebody to an AI advisory council that doesn't. I mean, the academic is appointed by the Academy of Science and Engineering.
Sure.
And they're certainly not gonna appoint somebody who's a civil engineer and doesn't know anything about AI. I mean, this is an advisory council for artificial intelligence, so. I mean, we can put it in there if you want to, but it seems to me that
they will do it anyway. And it is sort of an assumption.
I mean, I just think, okay, so we live in Vermont and there are just not that many people. And when you narrow it down to an expert in constitutional and legal rights, you don't always get someone who has AI expertise.
so they probably won't.
When you say field of ethics and human rights, you don't always get someone
Right.
who also has AI expertise. So we are narrowing down the number of people on this task force who anyone is going to appoint who is capable of having AI expertise. Like, we don't have a lot of people in the state who are something and also have AI expertise.
But the ACCD can recommend, and so can Department of
Yes.
Health, and so can the Commissioner of Public Safety.
And so could Susanna.
And so could
And
Susanna.
so could
and-
the Secretary of Business.
Okay, but they could, they're also trying to represent their own agency and how this technology is gonna be integrated into their agency. So what do we?
That
do
is true,
by
and-
doing that?
But I think
My-
they would want an expert.
My understanding from the task force and from when they did it before is that they had some people on there that knew a lot about AI. I don't know that Justice Dooley knew a lot when he started,
He knows,
but he
he's been
knows.
the IT guy at Supreme Court.
He's, okay, all right, so I don't know if everybody else did, I don't know, but they're appointing people who they think are gonna contribute to this, and the discussions should not be, as with any other council or committee or anything, you don't just talk among yourselves, you look to expertise on the outside and work with them. We can say,
Yeah.
but I don't know how you say it.
You could conceivably say at the beginning, the advisory council shall be composed of the following members. And it is either hoped or it's expected that one or more will have an expertise in AI. something
Well,
like
one
that.
or more of them, I mean, okay,
I mean, you could,
I don't care how we do this, but if the academic institutions appoint somebody who doesn't
isn't,
know
I
anything about AI,
It would
then
be for.
But I think we're really focusing heavily on that one person to be the AI expert. I don't know that, in my 10 years here, I have not usually seen us say, we want the Secretary of Commerce and Community Development or someone completely random that they appoint. I mean, I just haven't had a lot of experience where they go outside of their agency.
Well, actually,
process.
my experience is people are pretty thoughtful about their designees and they tend to be people with subject expertise.
From outside of their own agency.
sometimes.
Because then the question is, why are we going to that agency in the first place specifically? Because often it's because we want someone from that agency.
The other thing we're assuming here is that ACCD doesn't have any AI, any people with AI experience and expertise. And I don't know if they do or not.
I don't either.
But these are the names, these are the people that the task force recommended. This is exactly how they recommended. The only ones we added were health, racial equity, and AG. Otherwise, this is exactly as it came from the task
Well,
force.
then it's Madam Chair, you don't care. If Becky was willing to fashion just an additional add-on to that charge, that the advisory council and that one or more of the members would have expertise in AI. I think that's all that's needed, and then that means that'll be hopefully a lens that people will look to appoint their designees or their members from. I mean, I don't think it's,
So
I
you're
think a
not,
lot of these people will have expertise in AI.
Brian,
Thank you, Madam Chair. There may be another way around it. If we're willing to add another person. Just suggesting. There's a group called the Vermont Technology Alliance.
Yeah, there is.
It does focus on business,
Yeah.
admittedly. But there will be people in there that have a lot of experience in AI. And you could make that the 11th person on the
Okay.
list. And she may wind up being the go-to person in terms of artificial intelligence on this council. It's just a suggestion. It does,
I'm
it
fine
does
with
get,
Okay,
it gets a little unwieldy if you get 10 or 11 people, but
Yeah.
to your point, Senator, I mean, that one is focused immediately on that piece of it.
good suggestion.
I think if we're saying that anyone could be designated from any agency, then I think it would make sense somewhere related to every single person who could be on this, that we say they cannot have a contract with the state or have business before the state.
I think that is in here someplace, isn't it, Becky? I thought I saw.
Well, the focus of the division is just on the use of AI in state government.
Yeah.
I looked up the racial equity bill that has similar council created. And they have a subdivision called qualifications. So I'll read that, and I'm thinking maybe it can be applied to this. So it says members shall be drawn from diverse backgrounds to represent the interests of communities of color and other historically disadvantaged communities throughout the state. And to the extent possible, have experience working to implement racial justice reform and represent geographically diverse areas of the state. So it sounds like you may want to include the members shall be drawn from diverse backgrounds to represent interests of communities of color, or I don't know, or just say diverse backgrounds, and then say, and to the extent possible, have experience working in artificial intelligence.
Without any financial remuneration from a state contract related to.
And I know what you're saying, or I think I understand your point. At the same time, there's an advantage if they do have some connection with the state, because they'll be more likely to know what systems are already there.
We have to be really careful about pointing anybody on here that's making recommendations to the state that might have any financial interest in. And that's exactly why the guy who testified to us couldn't be it. And Justin Johnson came in and he works for Microsoft. Well, we're not gonna.
Yeah.
Right, but that's exactly what I'm saying. What anyone, if you're saying that the Secretary of Commerce could say, you know what, I want to appoint someone from Microsoft.
They're not. I think we have to give them some acknowledgement that they're going to do their best in appointing somebody here. We don't usually say when we're setting up commissions and committees, we say somebody to this, and you're gonna appoint somebody with some expertise in it. And my guess is most of them are gonna appoint somebody from their agencies who work with AI. Health department uses AI all the time. They're not gonna appoint a nurse who has never even used, I mean, I think we have to give some.
Okay, so we add someone from the I'm worried if we add someone from the technology line, I'm not saying that we should make sure they don't have a contract with the state.
I don't know, why don't we, we can do anything we want. I don't feel a need to say that they should have experience in AI. I do think that we should say that they should be appointed to represent a diversity of the state. That just that far in that.
Yeah.
I think we should include the AI piece.
Yeah, I think so too. What you said, what Becky said.
Yeah, that what Becky said is
So
fine.
if I have members shall be drawn from diverse backgrounds and to the extent possible, have experience working in artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Okay, that if you're gonna have somebody there who is a constitutional and legal
Yeah,
expert,
they're not gonna-
are you gonna require them to have
What?
AI experience?
They're saying to the extent possible. If there's nobody, you can't find anybody that's got the expertise, you're gonna appoint the best person possible,
Okay,
whether they have that expertise or not.
okay. All right.
Okay,
You don't say they have to have expertise, you're saying to the extent possible. If they have.
Otherwise, I don't think they're that much help on the group if they have constitutional rights knowledge, but no knowledge of how that intersects with technology, then no, they're probably not that useful to the group.
Well, I'm not sure I agree with that because they have to work with outside people and outside experts. And that's, I mean, any council or advisory council worth their peanuts would be working with experts outside. And we have lots of, but I may be mistaken about that, but.
Madam Chair, can I offer just one idea on this technology piece on the AI experience? Have you considered VSET with David Bradbury and those folks over there? Because it's emerging, maybe he might be able to appoint somebody.
He had, his group is called Emerging Technologies. Is that what it is? David Bradbury? He used to work for ACCD, right?
Center for Emerging Technologies, Vermont Center for Emerging Technologies, VSET.
That's a different group than you were talking about, but
Yeah.
yeah, that might be, because I don't think they do contracts with the state.
They're a startup like co-working
Right.
group. I don't know.
But they have,
Exactly.
Okay.
okay, well, let's just put what you have, the very first part of that
Not
sentence.
adding.
And then with, to the extent possible, with artificial intelligence experience.
And not adding a member for now.
Right.
So I've just made essentially two changes, which is taking out the and terms and the reference to starting in September. And then the adding in of qualifications. Subdivision for drawn from diverse backgrounds and to the extent possible have experience working in AI.
Yep.
So those are the only two changes I've
Or I would say experience with AI instead of working in.
experienced with.
And then the other change is, and I don't know where you would put this, but under the duties of the council to work with the director to engage with the public. Engage and educate the public. I think that's what Representative Gina said, under their kind of general duties is they would be working with the director around engaging with the public around AI education. And then when you're ready, there's one more change. Lovely, we said it's a word.
Have we appointed the council yet?
You're on.
Is artificial intelligence an oxymoron?
Yes. I agree. It's computation, Jeanette. That's all you have to remember. It's just computation. 0, 1. All computation between those two things, all the time.
So,
Right, Mark?
he said for now.
For now, until you introduce more numbers?
There's quantum computing. Quantum computing allows you to have more than one state. So that's going to change things. And there's also another thing I would add is it's not just computing, it's about connections. And some people, some scientists in neuroscience, and so this is an area of expertise for me as a social worker, that we think about consciousness and what is consciousness. And there's some consensus that it's the product of a certain critical amount of connections. And so if, I just want to put that out there, that it's also like what AI does is it allows more connections to be created, on its own, and they could exponentially increase. So, you know what, you should hear more from the advisory council next year, and I'll be quiet.
Okay, Becky, are you ready for the final change?
Yeah.
It's on page 12, line 16. That report comes from the council.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. We're moving right along here.
On line, 16, line 16, I'm sorry.
It says the agency should say the
I
council.
should say that
Okay.
it's the council that's gonna do that report.
The January 24.
Yeah. So now all of those reports in that section are from the council.
And did you give her Brian's comments already?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
And I just wanted to point out Mark is gone, Mark Hughes is gone. I was just gonna point out to him that on page 15, it does say that the council will come back and make recommendations about whether it should change its structure, expand, cease to exist, or whatever.
Mhm.
So that is, we didn't sunset it, but it's there.
There is a repeal of the council
Where's that?
on page 12. Right.
Yeah.
Is it a sunset or a repeal?
It
Right, we,
repeals the council on, I think the committee has decided June 2027, but the
we wanted
way,
to sunset.
yeah, but the report that's coming back does give you a time to make a decision to continue it.
But there is a sunset on 27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to keep that.
So everybody agreed on the committees of jurisdiction.
On what?
Yeah.
They're three different committees.
It was supposed to be Senate GovOps, House
Technology, energy,
Technology.
and finance.
And finance, although I don't know why it went to finance, but it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
we
it's
don't
fine.
have an energy one, so.
We don't.
It's actually, we have an energy committee, it's Senate Natural Resources and Energy.
Yeah, but they
But they don't
Not
do
technology.
technology. Finance or Senate Economic Development do that.
we
And
don't.
we did the data brokers, but this bill ended up here because it's setting up governance things.
I guess House GovOps that they didn't want to see it.
Yeah, we
Because they
did.
have a
We cut them out, I
special
thought.
committee.
We cut them. We changed.
Okay, where are we committee?
If, I'm happy to move it, but I think.
I just want to make sure, did we hear everything from Mark?
I just made all the changes if you want me to email a copy to you all.
That would be
Sure.
great. Did Mark have anything else that, did, Mark had a few housekeeping things?
No, actually, I must make sure I'm unmuted. Yes,
you
I
are.
am. Yeah, no, actually, as you guys have continued your conversation, you've actually covered them. So I've got no more.
Oh, great. Thank you. All right, so it would be wonderful if we could actually vote this out today so that we could get it to the House back over there.
Will it be one
Madam
point?
Chair,
Yes,
Madam Chair, may I request, if it could be, if the final version you're gonna vote on could be posted or emailed to me, just so I can read it one last time? Just to make sure what I was suggesting is there so that I don't have to bother you later.
no, right, no, we will, but we will probably vote it out today. And then if there are really horrible changes that we didn't make or did make, you can change them again.
All right, well, I'm gonna have faith in you. I'm gonna have faith and I'm gonna have faith in Ledge Council. So thank you.
We can amend it on the floor if we have to.
Yeah, we can amend it on the floor too.
I did send everybody Brian's wordage, so,
And Becky's got it
and
too.
Becky's got it.
Perfect.
I just sent you all a copy of draft 1.3 and I've highlighted. It might take a minute, I'm finding attachments are a little slow.
Yeah, sometimes they seem to go through, I don't know, some place in Hawaii or something.
Yes, all the emails to Woodstock.
It's a firewall filtering thing.
Make a.
Well, this bill is gonna figure out why.
Good. We
Yes.
particularly want this to deal with the legislative branch.
So this bill may actually already be, that
Oh.
may, I say, you know what, I want to delay this a bit. And
Yeah, I do want to point out though that it does state that this definition of state is,
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
But
So I was-
it was pointed out in the House that it's kind of a loosey-goosey definition because while it refers to the executive branch, major purchases that are made through ADS in judiciary and legislative branch are also coordinated, and so you can, I mean, it isn't that as if we're hanging out here in the breeze.
no, I got you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'd heard the mention a second ago of applicability to the legislative branch, so I just wanted to remind us.
I know. We like that separation of powers while we're waiting for it to come through.
I got it.
It's here.
Do you, I haven't gotten it yet.
I didn't either.
There's nothing in yellow, so I'm just counting on.
So
Page
look
nine.
at
Starting
the,
on page 9.
Oh, it is in yellow.
look at the hieroglyphs in Bellows Falls, that they just got a big federal grant to.
So Becky, you copied me.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, and you sent it to us?
No, I
no.
sent it, but I did copy you, Gail.
I didn't get it yet.
I didn't either. That's weird. Some got it, some didn't.
Show Brian the hieroglyphs.
Who?
Aren't they cool?
The petroglyphs.
I mean,
Wow.
petroglyphs.
Good.
Oh, yeah, I was like, we have hieroglyphs in Bellows
Yeah.
Falls.
We have a lot of petroglyphs in,
I can zoom in and share my screen, if you'd like me to do that.
That might be useful. Let me just see if we,
I have the Zoom.
yes, I don't have it yet either.
Yeah, I'm gonna just zoom in.
isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
When were those discovered? They're kind of weird that
Keep
they're
telling
out.
me that my subscription has run out, but it really hasn't. Look at the.
Oh,
Aren't they cool? There are a whole bunch by the retreat meadows too.
Did you know about them before?
Yeah. Yeah, they just got a big grant.
You have a lot of great art in your neck of the woods.
Mhm.
Elizabeth Billings and her partner, whose name I'm punching at the moment, did a big piece down in Brattleboro on the river.
You want me to go through these changes?
Yeah.
Great. I don't think I ever said my name for the record. Becky Wasserman, Legislative Council. So I've highlighted in yellow the changes I've just incorporated. So under the creation of the council, where it is established and it has the duties of providing advice and counsel to the director of the division, I've also added that the council, in consultation with the director of the division, shall engage in public outreach and education on artificial intelligence.
Yep.
The subdivision 2 and the membership, I have removed the reference to terms, and in that last sentence on page 11 where it said that the terms will start September, I removed that as well. I've added in qualifications that require the members drawn from diverse backgrounds and, to the extent possible, have experience with artificial intelligence.
Right.
Thank you.
And then in the reporting section, section 7, subsection B, the report comes from the council
Yes.
for the clear use and data management policy. That was it.
So I'd like to move that we vote out our strikeout amendment and replace it with draft 1.3.
Good. Ready, Allison?
Absolutely. I'm just trying to get into the system here. Yes,
Senator Clarkson,
yes.
Senator Palmer.
Yes.
Senator Polina.
Did she vote twice?
Well, I mean, I don't know if the yes was she's ready first.
No, I'm just
You
trying to.
said yes twice.
I think she voted twice.
One of them must count.
It's kind of like Andy Perchlik on the floor.
Yeah, he got 2 votes.
Did he get 2 votes?
Yes.
Myself, Senator Ryan, and still yes, Senator White,
Yes.
5-0-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Mark, Representative Chena, everybody,
Bye.
all the people who weighed in before.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
your hard work.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me and hearing from me. So,
Thank you.
I'll send you a clean copy now.
Senator Palmer, do you want to report this?
No.
Okay.
I absolutely do not.
I'm not volunteering because
I'm looking down at my,
I'm happy to report it. It's
Okay.
just setting up a council. I don't have to say anything about artificial intelligence.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You have to say it in the title.
Oh, okay, yeah, but. Okay, I'm happy to do it.
Okay, well, if it makes you happy.
Oh, no, but I mean, it's okay. I will do it. I didn't mean to make it that I was happy, but I will do it. Okay. Good, okay. So that one's done. Now, Becky, we have one more.
Saying my password to Vermont thing is incorrect.
I'm sure it probably is. Because artificial intelligence just changed your password. Okay, we had quite a confusing conversation around the teachers one.
Okay, am I, sorry, going back up?
But
I think you're with
finish
us.
that- finish that up first,
Okay.
whatever you need to do.
I mean, do you want me to take it back? Yes.
well, if you just put it up there, it's like right in that witness area. It's not fun for people. I will take
I
it.
already have 88 things to pick up.
Okay.
Fine. Accumulated.
No, there are more people in this state that are concerned about crows than about children getting.
Yes, it's very disconcerting that people care more about crows than kids. It's true.
It is true.
Unbelievable. It's ridiculous.
I've gotten more.
I love crows. They should go and spend more time at the Vermont Institute of Natural Science and learn more about how fabulous crows are.
Well, they are, but if
I know,
you're
they're
a farmer,
irritating
if you're a farmer, you need to be able to shoot them.
They do, and they will, and this is the,
And have any, I know they're not the same bird, but have you read The Year of the Raven, The Mind of the Raven by Bern Brick, whatever his name is?
no.
Oh, he's a UVM person. He has a camp where we go in the summertime.
Oh,
And did you read The Year of the Owl? You read that
Oh,
one too?
no.
He captured a baby owl that had been abandoned and he kept it in his house and he would jog around Burlington picking up roadkill to take it home and feed to his owl. But at his camp up in Maine, he just let it fly free in there. It drove his wife crazy. She finally left, but he just had this owl flying around in his,
Inside the house?
yeah.
Wow.
He kept him for a year and then the Year of the Owl and then he went free. Anyway, okay, 572. If you're ready, Becky.
I'm trying to restart my computer, but I'm ready.
Okay. We had quite a confusing conversation about it because we got this. We thought the comments had come from Jay Nichols. So we were really confused and he was really confused because we were attributing comments to him that he hadn't made. We subsequently found out they were made by Tim Dugan, which must be the DT,
Or backwards.
Dugan Tim.
Yes,
Okay,
that's what I received was from the treasurer's office.
okay, we didn't know that that's who it was from. So what we did is we talked about this. We did not understand his first comment about allowance, what that meant. Did you?
I did not, I have admittedly been sort of running in and out of multiple committees, so I didn't look at it in depth, but I thought perhaps that had to do with just changing the title to address that it should be more expansive, but I wasn't sure if that was the intent behind the comment. Right.
So it looks like he just crossed off allowance in the title. Okay,
Oh, all right.
that's fine.
I think because it's not just the retirement allowance, but also the health benefits.
Right.
Okay. So is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
And Jay, is that okay with you? To cross off allowance?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Then the second change he made is on line 18, where he put in immediately preceding the resumption. And that was to address these 18 teachers that we hear that are out there. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
I don't think I can just explain the.
No, we know
for
that.
it, but it sounds like that was
Yeah.
the source of why it needs to be.
Yeah, we had a long explanation about the 18 teachers. And, okay, so we're all okay with that change?
Yeah.
And Jay? Okay. Then the next one, I think that what Senator Ron Hinsdale suggested, that between 2 and 3, that we make it explicit that they are not, 2 says that their employer is contributing to the health fund for their health, and that we make it explicit that there is no employee or employer contribution to the pension system itself. That we make that explicit there.
Okay,
But the
so
school won't be paying.
Nobody will be
employer or,
employee.
um,
So the school is paying for the health care.
Right.
But there is nobody is making any contributions to the pension system itself. We have 1 and we might have 2.
Yeah, since I saw you, Steve, we passed one out.
so I think that needs to be a separate subdivision that just
Okay,
says.
however you do it.
And it, no contributions shall be made to,
During the time of service.
yeah.
And we think that's what he meant there by the B, is that they aren't gonna get anything more back, but we just wanted to make it explicit then that they weren't putting anything in, and now they're not getting anything back. I mean, that's, you had that in there and he highlighted it.
Okay, so maybe I should just add it there that,
Okay,
I mean, I think one of his questions was, what does this mean for subsequent retirement? But this is what's in statute right now for a person who comes back into service and then they subsequently retire. So what I was trying to say is that when they subsequently retire, they're not getting a retirement allowance. I think I can add in a sentence here that just says like, a person who, resumes service under this section shall not make any contributions into the system, and then upon subsequent retirement will not get a separately computed retirement allowance.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, I think I read it that way anyway, Becky, but yeah, I think that makes it even more clear.
Yeah, I think we all thought that. But, okay.
Did we skip over this? I'm trying to understand to comment DT4, which looks like it says,
Which one?
it's the one that says there should be a requirement that certification, and C, the employment certification that you couldn't find anybody else is a condition
Well,
precedent. It's as written, it's not tied to the extra benefit.
I
I
didn't
just-
understand that comment, so.
I think that's completely covered in C, employment certification.
maybe in his mind it was like out of order or something. I don't know.
yeah, I think that it's covered in C.
Yeah, I think to us, it looks fine because it's the way we write things. Like maybe he thought that it doesn't look in order or something.
So are we getting rid of his
No,
B?
no, we're leaving it, and Becky just said she's adding a sentence in there that says they're not making any contribution. So I think that does it. Doesn't it?
Yeah, I just think, given how tricky and the different comments and things, maybe it'd be good to see a draft before we vote it.
Becky?
Can I just sit over here?
Yeah, oh, is it easier over there?
Well,
I
now
just-
that's distracting. She's gonna put on her headphones.
Gonna take off my jacket and sit down for a
All
while.
right. Take your shoes off.
You know what, Becky, what I have that would really help you
Take your shoes off.
is a lap desk.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it really makes a big difference. Doesn't it? Isn't it nice?
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
You could take it home.
Rooms for lunch council.
I love it. I get,
I'll just be one second.
We provide desks, we
Yeah.
provide,
we're a full service
Ben-
operation.
Ben yesterday, that was funny, when he left, he said, thanks for providing me with that safe haven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben said, oh, that was lovely. You know, that, well, that's sort of what we are for a bunch of people. Our committee room, and our committee room in Senate Economic Development is too. There are people who use it often as a retreat. Madam Chair, I don't know what your timing expectation is this afternoon.
Well,
The Truth and Reconciliation to me is a big, okay.
we've canceled that.
Oh, we, okay.
I asked Gail to cancel it for this afternoon, because I knew we wouldn't.
Just given when we started, yeah.
Yeah, no, she canceled it
Thank you.
right away.
This should be your job,
What?
the teachers.
Yeah,
Huh, no way.
Why?
why?
You were championing it the whole time.
You don't want to report it?
Oh, I mean, because it has a relationship with workforce development?
No, just because you wanted the, oh my God, Allison, I'm sorry. You were championing this
It was all
bill,
your idea.
so you should report it.
It's just a thought.
Well, it does have a relationship with workforce development.
Okay, then that's the reason
The
why.
world is not all related to workforce development.
But in this
No,
case, it's.
My world is.
I'm gonna nominate Anthony, so we can still have this.
Anthony, do you want to report the
Thank you.
teacher's one?
I don't want to,
Help
but I
me.
would.
Okay,
I would if Becky gave me just a paragraph, plain English that explains.
she will,
Doesn't have to be section by section necessarily.
I don't
just
get you.
yeah.
Why? I thought you would want to.
I have to.
You talked about the teacher shortage and how
I know.
dire our situation was.
And you were pushing this bill all along.
I wasn't pushing it, but it is incredibly important
I
given
think
the
it's back to
workforce
her.
shortage.
All right, well, if
Do it
you
together.
insist.
Oh my
How about
God.
we do it
Oh,
together?
it's not that long
No.
a bill, for heaven's sakes.
One sentence, two sentences.
3 cents, 4. 5 cents, 6,
Oh.
7 minutes more.
Sorry, Jay. It's Friday afternoon.
We've already presupposed we're gonna pass it, but.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I noticed that. I like that. I have to say though,
Uh-oh.
Senator, you did kind of push this pretty hard. I can see why they want you to present it.
thank
You're pretty
you.
supportive.
Thank you.
I'm happy to do it. I didn't even sponsor this bill.
Well, it's a House bill. Of course you didn't.
The health bill, right?
Okay. Anthony, I'm happy
Maybe
to
she
do
shouldn't
it. It
report it.
has
I don't know.
total- I am reporting the workforce
No,
development. bill.
I think we
So
should
it makes
have,
total sense that I report this,
I think
but
we
I'm gonna
should
need
have-
Becky's help and
I think we
Anthony's
should
help.
have Anthony support it, or you are going to go into the world of workforce
She's gonna
development.
start talking about nurses.
Yes.
No, I am not. I'm gonna talk about EMS.
Can I just confirm that in the bill, in his edits, he had made changes to 1, 2, and 3. Did you want all of those changes about how payments are sent to the OPEB fund, sorry, the OPEB fund, and
Oh,
also
okay.
about a one-time refundable,
I
non-refundable?
think that's just a clarification of the OPEB fund one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I don't know that you discussed the non-refundable
Oh.
fee part.
Oh, I didn't know it was it didn't say non-refundable.
Yeah, that's the $2,500.
This clean copy line.
Oh, it does?
That was the deal that was made with the
Is he reporting for that?
No.
principals and,
Okay, I didn't see the word non-refundable.
yeah, and that was the deal they made. We decided we weren't gonna monkey around with
Right,
that.
right, I do remember that part.
Okay.
Okay.
Jay, this is the reason that I would love you and I should be in touch then if I'm gonna just love your comments.
Works for me.
I don't have Jay's email.
Jay, you gonna report this?
Yeah, Jay, or a designee, we're designating you, Jay, senator for a day. This is
When I
great.
retire, that's what I want to do is be a senator. So I'll wait until then.
I don't know, after,
Campaigning is a,
yeah,
yeah, everybody thinks they want this job and then they realize, oh, what do I have to do to get this job?
I have to ask all my friends for money.
It's Friday, we're live,
Yes,
and we should.
okay.
Well,
That's what we're
they
doing.
all know.
So, okay, the vote on the artificial intelligence was 5-0-0, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So far, we have been unanimous.
And I believe, Madam Chair, there is a form attached to the bill for you to fill out.
Oh, yeah, I just have been writing it on the front, but I'll do it there.
It's on there.
I'm sorry, I missed the vote. Did you actually vote on this?
Yes.
Oh,
No,
good.
we were
No, we
just,
haven't
we
voted
already
this
did
yet.
it was the 410 vote.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, we voted on it.
We voted on that.
But not 570.
No,
No,
not yet. But we have discussed who's reporting it at grade one.
I don't even know
So
who it
which
is
one was the
anymore.
youth council? Remember?
Youth council? I have
It's
no idea.
Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony.
Anthony's on deck tomorrow. I mean, on
Well, the
Tuesday.
number of the,
Uh, 293.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I can look it up.
Anthony just found it. Okay,
I have some deals.
Well, thanks. Compost queen here. Okay. This is all live.
yes, it is.
Oh, you're getting credit for compost.
I know, but the compost queen here, she is really going
I'm
for the
gonna hand this
gusto.
to you and you can hand it to Steve when he comes in.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay,
Okay.
so just while we're waiting here, committee, on Tuesday, the first thing we're going to take up is, the resolution about Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's, JRH 18. And is that what that means? Joint resolution started in the House?
I think so.
Yeah.
And if it's JRS, it's joint resolution started in the Senate?
I would,
And if it's just a Senate resolution, it
I don't know.
doesn't have,
In all honesty, I don't.
I think that it is. It's a joint resolution. It's
We can
JRH.
just email John and ask.
No, we don't, I don't even care, but
Is
they
this
have already
separate?
passed.
Or we have amended the one we did?
We haven't done one on Ukraine.
Yeah, I thought we did.
I do remember reading a resolution on the floor, was it?
No, they read the title of it and then sent it to us.
But we listened to language about how we're severing our relationship with like a Russian sister city.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
We did this on the floor.
We did. You're right, I'm remembering exactly that.
We read
because Jim-
something on the floor, yeah.
Yeah.
I think what they did on the floor was talked about that there was going, in the budget, when they did the budget adjustment and they sent money, I think they talked
yeah,
about,
that could be.
When we approved that 600, when we approved $1 per Vermont, we read a whole resolution.
That was a resolution.
Yeah.
well, then why did they send it to us?
I don't know, let's look and see what the language is. It may actually be a whole different thing.
I was in the meeting.
You all set?
I think I'm all.
You may borrow this anytime.
Yeah.
You know where it is, right under the table.
Can I use it as a seat on my way home in the car?
Sure, sure. I use it as a seat occasionally here.
I was
On
kidding.
March 11th, it was read for the first time and treated as a bill and referred to the Committee on Government Operations.
Oh,
This one,
This one.
but have we not read a resolution on Ukraine on the floor? 'Cause
No,
I-
he might have read the whole thing. If it was read the first time, he might have read the whole thing.
And then we referred
And
it?
then he referred it. That's what
Okay.
it says. And Michael asked me if we were going to pass it, so,
Well, yeah.
yeah. So we're gonna take that up first on Tuesday so that we can make
Okay.
sure we get it passed. And then we're going to, do H96. And then, the one we will have left is the land records one, and we'll figure out what we're gonna do about that. And then we have at least 2 more and maybe 3 more charters coming.
Okay, the second Burlington charter.
Second borough,
Fifth Burlington. No, it's the fifth, this
Yeah.
biennium.
it's the 5th.
I
And
I
then,
had to ask Tucker just to be sure when I reported fifth on Tuesday.
and there's one from Hardwick that I just saw on the schedule today in the House. And then we will have the payout.
We have the path, but we also have Springfield.
oh yeah, they changed it.
Springfield yeah, House Gov stuck their heels in the ground about this language.
They
And
changed the word. You remember it said, Kevin,
physically injurious.
injurious to the
Oh, yeah.
neighborhood, and they had physically injurious, and we took out physically because the town of Springfield hadn't had that in there, and we took it
They
out.
didn't want it.
And the House is adamant that it has to be back in there.
They also changed the threshold for calling a charter
Did they change that back
25%.
again?
to 10 or something, yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah. I think we need a meeting of the minds and or some ideas. Tucker, I know, has met with them. And I know Alice and I have to connect this weekend.
Yeah, she just talked to me about it.
Brian,
Yeah, me
which
too.
version of 410 is that?
I'm sorry, Gil?
Which version of 410 is that?
1.3. Okay. That's the right one.
I do have the new version up if you want me to go through the changes.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yes, thank you.
So this is H572 and it's version 1.2. I did not highlight here, but in section 1 in the heading on line 9, I've removed allowance.
Yep.
Lines 16.
Did you replace it with anything, or it just is retirement?
Yeah, I think he had just eliminated.
I mean, I can just take out retirement if you want me to just do that. That might make more sense.
Okay.
It wasn't clear from the comment
Right.
what.
Yeah.
No, I could see reading it really literally, but now I'm like, it's just.
Yeah, no, I think that is a
Oh,
good
just
change.
Yeah, good, good.
So I've changed subdivision 1, so these are the conditions that have to be met, that the beneficiary has received a retirement allowance for 6 months or more immediately preceding the resumption of service. The employer of the beneficiary is subject to the assessment set forth in 16 VSA 1944D on behalf of the beneficiary and then remits that payment to the benefits fund. And then the $2,500 fee is a one-time non-refundable fee. I changed B to say period of service. So I said that a person who resumes service under subsection A shall not make any contributions to the system during the person's period of service and shall not be entitled to a retirement allowance separately computed for the period that service was resumed.
Good, I like that, and
Yeah.
period of service is, sounds much better than subsequent retirement does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about
Much
the comment,
nicer.
the person actually isn't really coming out of retirement, so I think that's the source of the,
Okay, no, that's good.
the comment from the treasurer's office.
Okay.
And then I think that was
Here, what's that?
Yep.
I know that it's Friday and I don't want to split hairs, but I guess like, when I think about a government body and another government body saying, okay, we're giving you this fee in this process of getting this person back online, let's just say something happened and the person couldn't work and the process stopped. Does it have to say non-refundable?
What do you mean if something happened and the person couldn't work?
Like,
So the person.
a non-refundable fee usually means like, it doesn't matter what happens, like, you're not getting this fee back.
Oh, I see what
It
you
just
said.
says a non-refundable sounds kind of harsh from like the school district to the treasurer's office. Of like, let's say they start the payment, but then they're like, oh, this isn't gonna work out, or we found someone who's.
Or the teacher quit after
After
2
a
weeks.
week.
Yeah,
So make it payable at the end of the,
Or just take out the.
Like a one-time fee.
Non-refundable.
Yeah.
Just take out the workers' fund. No.
Non-refundable,
okay.
Take out non-refundable.
yeah,
yeah. Just sounds kind of like language when you're
yeah.
getting an airline ticket.
Right,
It's like, it's like the treasurer's
Does
office.
anybody have edification for us on it? I mean, Jay, is there a reason for that language?
Yeah, it was an agreement with the treasurer. I don't think I think taking out non-refundable is okay, but I don't want to start monkeying. with
Yeah,
it.
that was the one word I just.
Right, I mean, that's a little bit then like monkeying around with the pension agreement. We don't want,
Yeah, we never talked about non-refundable. That didn't come from us. It's just
Yeah,
was
that was never
we
in.
were willing to pay the 2,500.
okay, we're gonna
Then
take
let's
that
get rid of it.
All right.
off. Good thought.
So will this still be 1.2, Becky?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'd like to move that we vote out. This is a strike all. So the strike all amendment will be reflected in draft number 1.2 of H 572.
Senator Clarkson,
Yes.
Senator Colomar.
Yes.
Senator Polina,
Yes.
myself, Senator Ron Hinsdale, yes, Senator White.
Yes.
500.
And now, but don't we just amended it. We
Oh,
don't
yeah,
have
I'm
to-
sorry.
Now
That was
let's
the
vote it out
amendment.
as amended.
Okay.
I will move that the committee vote out H 572 as amended favorably.
Senator Clarkson,
Yes.
Senator Colomar.
Yes.
Senator Polina,
Yes.
myself, Senator Ron Hinsdale, yes, Senator White.
Yes.
500.
Okay. All right.
Give us a heads up there. Well done, Jay, or something.
I just got to tell you, committee, I'm just so thankful for how you folks work together and people feel well treated in your committee, even when they disagree with something you do. And that says a lot about you, but also thank you very much for your support of this bill. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
it's always nice to hear that, because there are committees where people do not feel as welcome and as
Yeah.
respected. So
This is-
That is
that's,
correct.
it's always nice to hear that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a good committee.
It is. You guys have a great weekend. and We really appreciate it.
And thank you for your tireless work on it too, to help us get this over the finish line.
You're the
Really
appreciate it.
last man standing. Everybody
Thank
else
you, thank
gave
you.
up.
And thank you, Becky, for
Yeah.
being so flexible.